The Witcher is a massive and a very popular series. It had a massive success with The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, with it being one of the most successful RPGs of all time, and we've talked about The Witcher 3 a lot on this channel already. So today we're going to go back a couple of years. We're going to go back all the way to 2007, and we're going to be playing The Witcher 1. Yes, The Witcher. Just the original Witcher. It didn't even have a number next to it. It is literally just The Witcher. Now, The Witcher is only available on Windows and macOS, so it was time to hop onto Steam and download this. I managed to get a bundle of The Witcher 1 and The Witcher 2 for just £2, which I thought, to be honest, was an absolute steal. But yeah, so today we're going to be checking out The Witcher 1. I'm happy to do a video on The Witcher 2 in the future. Let me know down in the comments if you guys would be interested in that. But today we are just going to be focusing on The Witcher. So you can just get this game straight from Steam, and this game will actually take up 15 gigabytes of storage. Now personally, I do think this is quite a lot considering the game released in 2007, but obviously 15 gigabytes isn't too bad, so I'm not really going to complain. The game is now an enhanced edition with some slightly better graphics and I believe a few improved gameplay features. Nothing absolutely major, but it is just going to be a little bit improved and just a bit more playable really compared to the really proper original version. I believe you can also get this on the GOG.com launcher, but to me, Steam is just the way to go for this. So let's not waste any more time and let's just get straight into the game. So upon first loading up the game, you're going to be greeted by this really cool cinematic. Now this has some great graphics and some great audio, and it is a really good cinematic to watch, and I highly suggest watching this. It is quite long, but it is really nice. The graphics are really good. Obviously this isn't the game engine or anything like that, but it is a really cool cinematic, so definitely give this a watch. If you're interested in knowing exactly how long it is 6 minutes and 48 seconds. So I really do suggest watching this. And once you have finished this, you'll get into the main menu. Now, yes, this doesn't look quite as good as The Witcher 3 or anything like that, but it's got what you need. So in the main menu here, we can see that it says New Game, Load Game, Options and Credits, and then of course we have the Exit Game at the bottom. Now if we actually head into the options, then there is a few things worth looking at here. First of all, you've got all your standard game options with the subtitles, the voiceover language, and just everything standard like that, and to be honest, I would just keep everything here at its default. And if we then head over to the video options, then you are going to be able to change the resolution, etc. And then there's going to be the graphic options and everything like that. Now, at the time of recording this video, I was actually playing on a 2060 Super and a Ryzen 5 3600, and I just cranked everything to the max. It wasn't on the maximum graphic settings at default, but I just cranked it all up and it played fine. There was a little bit of stuttering, but usually that just happens the first time you play a game, but obviously it's a very old game, so you gotta sort of give it some leeway for that. But to be honest, I really wouldn't worry about PCs not being able to run this game. You should have no issues there. Of course, there is no DLSS or RTX. I don't even know why I'm mentioning this, but I just thought I'd put it out there. This is an option in the game, but then it was a 2007 in game, so you know, RTX sort of wasn't even thought of back then, but anyways. Then you've got your classic sound options. This will just have everything from the master volume, the music, etc. You can actually change the battle music volume here, which I thought was pretty interesting. But everything here I just kept at the standard of just 10. I didn't really have any need to mess with any of that. And now you've got your controls. I personally did just keep everything here at the default settings. I didn't really feel the need to change any of it, but it is definitely different to the other Witcher games, so that is something to definitely bear in mind. If you are looking for a similar feel to The Witcher 3 in terms of controls, then here's definitely the place to be able to change that. Now, I did actually try using a controller on this game, but it just didn't work for some reason. The settings were just a bit messed up. I don't know if it was something on my end or maybe something on the Witcher side of things. I'm not really sure what was going on there, but I did just stick to keyboard and mouse since it did seem that that was the way it was intended to be played. Something else I should probably mention is that when I did crank all the settings up to the maximum, upon hitting apply for these settings, my game did just crash. But I did just load it up and all of these settings had applied, so it wasn't that big of an issue, but it is something definitely worth noting. So I was happy with all my settings and it was time to get straight into the game. Upon hitting that new game button, you're going to be greeted by two different game modes. You can either play as The Witcher or do new adventures. For The Witcher, it says this: play The Witcher, venture through a dark world where there is no good or evil, just choices and their consequences. Then for new adventures, it says this: play one of the new adventures, each of which tells a singular story based on the world and characters of The Witcher. Then you've got the classic difficulty selection page. You can pick between easy, medium and hard. I did go with easy because I am simply terrible at video games. I'm honestly awful, and this pretty tragic, to be honest, considering how long I've been playing them for. But also I had seen online that this game is quite hard and the controls are a bit messed up compared to the modern gaming standards, so I did just go ahead with easy, but you're probably better at me, so maybe it's worth going with medium or hard, depending on how good you think you are at games. But just remember, you will be better than me, so it may be worth going with medium. So the last option that there was to choose between was the selected control mode. The first option is the mouse mode. Mouse preferred, featuring an easily controlled smart isometric camera, recommended for casual gamers and those wanting a more strategic overview of battles. Control mode can be changed at any time during the game. Then the second option says this: keyboard and mouse controlled, featuring a dynamic OTS camera, recommended for experienced gamers and those who want to get closer to the action. And once again, it says control modes can be changed at any time during the game. I personally did end up going with the keyboard and mouse option, since it did just seem like something I'm more used to, but it did say this can be changed at any time, so it doesn't really matter too much. Then once you've selected that, you have a little loading screen and you'll be greeted with another cinematic, but this time it is inside the game engine. And at first glance, the graphics really aren't that bad, and especially considering it had a 1440p option. I don't know about 4K, but my monitor is 1440p, and it was able to supply that resolution, which was really nice to see from a 2007 game, and I suppose that is something that came with the enhanced edition of the game. So once that cinematic has finished, you'll get straight into your first bit of combat. Now you're going to see your health bar at the top left, and you're just going to see a load of stuff that you have never seen before. Now at first I was extremely confused. I practically just had no idea what I was doing and was just spamming my mouse button at this point, but eventually I did get the hang of it, and once you do get the hang of it, it's not that bad. You basically have to lock onto someone and you click, and then you will do a series of attacks just by simply clicking once at the right time. You just need to be locked onto an enemy and it will work like that. So it is an older sort of combat style, nothing like The Witcher 3. It's nice and simple, and it's really easy to get the hang of. It's really not too bad. However, when you do compare it to the modern gaming standards, it really just doesn't hold up. But like I said, I don't think this is that bad. It does take a bit of getting used to, but once you have got the hang of it, it's really not too bad to use. A few minutes later, you then get to separate off from the others, and you'll be able to go off on your own and attack some enemies by yourself. At this point, you are still going through some sort of tutorial, so you are going to be getting some alerts on your screen telling you how to use certain features, which is obviously needed for a game like this. You'll learn how to do chain attacks, and then you're going to get introduced to combat styles. Now, depending on the type of enemy that you are fighting, you'll have to change your combat style to suit that enemy. If they are a big enemy that's really strong, then you're going to want to use a more slow-paced and stronger combat style. But if your opponent is really agile, then you're going to want to use a fast combat style, and these can be easily changed during combat. And I have to say, I do think this is a pretty cool feature. It's not something that we have in The Witcher 3 really. Obviously, we've got the spells and everything like that, but we don't really have different combat styles. So I'm not saying this should be in The Witcher 3, but it's just nice seeing some features that aren't in the later games. So you are slowly just going to be greeted to the characters and the way the combat works and everything like that, basically all of the game's main features. So I think in terms of gameplay and the actual game itself, I think that is where I'm going to leave things. I don't want to spoil too much if you're going to end up playing the game. I just don't think that would be very fun. So now you've been able to see what The Witcher 1 is like in 2022, and honestly it's not too bad. Yes, the graphics don't hold up to today's standards, and so does the combat. It's not great, but at the same time it just takes a bit of getting used to and then it's fine. Personally, I'd much rather spend some time playing The Witcher 3, going through some side quests or something like that, but if you really want to get nailed into this story, which is about 40 hours long, then it's definitely worth playing. Considering the prices you can find it for on Steam, then it's really not a bad purchase. However, I do think if you're just looking for a new game to play, then this definitely isn't the option. But if you are a massive fan of The Witcher, then definitely go ahead and buy this game. If you are looking for games to play like The Witcher, then I do have a video linked in the description going over games like The Witcher that isn't just The Witcher 1. So, is The Witcher 1 worth playing in 2022? Yes and no. If you're a big fan of The Witcher, like I've already said, then definitely pick this game up. But if you're just looking for a new game to play, then I would look elsewhere. So that does just about wrap up things here. If you did enjoy this video or find it helpful, then please consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell so you don't miss any content just like this. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.